guys are just guns, and you feel that young energy. It's hard to explain how that young energy translates to an auction call.
My opinion is that most businesses and most real estate principals are still sales agents. I fundamentally believe that's a flawed model.
They're recruitment people. That's all they are now, is recruiting great agents, keeping great agents, being, they treat their agents like their client. Today I'm joined by Christian Hamilton, Director of Ray White Wilston and Service Paradise, and one of Australia's leading auctioneers. Christian's journey has taken him from Sales Associate to Australian Novice Auctioneer of the Year, Head of Auctions for Harcourts Australia, Academy Trainer, and now Business Owner and all-round good guy. Christian, welcome to Task Me Anything.
Mate, what an introduction. Thank you for that. I greatly appreciate that.
I try and get everyone's little wins in their life into their opening spiel.
That actually reminded me of some things of the past that I hadn't thought about for a little while.
Oh, there you go. Yeah.
Novice Auctioneer and Academy Trainer.
2017, I think Novice Auctioneer was.
That's exactly right.
I see, I've done my research.
You have.
Perfect. Right, now time to get to know you, Christian. For those who don't, these are going to be some really fast-paced questions. You just read out the first thing that comes to your head.
Cool.
Ready to go?
I'm ready to go.
Early bird or night owl?
Early bird.
Nice. Auction room or listing presentation?
Oh, auction room, for sure.
Coffee order?
Double espresso.
Oh, strong.
Yep.
Biggest mentor?
Oh, that's a tough one. I've had a lot of mentors at different times throughout my career, and I think they've all played.
Can't be political on these ones. You got to read something. You can be, of course.
Yeah. No, I don't know. I don't think I've had one single mentor that's followed me the whole way through. And maybe that's a bad thing.
Who's the biggest mentor right now?
I'm going to say Brian.
Brian, there you go.
And we don't work closely but he's probably the person that I take actually the most amount of sort of inspiration and leadership from.
That's Brian White, for those playing at home. Brian White. Best business book you've ever read?
Oof, that's a tough one. Best business book that I've ever read. Good to Great is something that I refer to all the time. Atomic Habits is something that's flying around our office quite a lot at the moment, so we're sort of talking about that.
Writing that down.
But in terms of the essence of our business right now, it would be the Ritz-Carlton book. I should actually know the title of the book.
Okay, I think I've seen that online.
It's all about the Ritz-Carlton, so I actually can't remember the name of it.
Nice.
But I've probably read that 3 or 4 times in the last 2 years.
Perfect. Biggest career lesson?
Biggest career lesson? Well, this really is putting me on the spot.
I'm throwing him out there straight up, aren't I?
To keep it fast, I would just say just take action. Yeah, just do.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Non-negotiable daily habit?
Train.
Yeah.
Run or gym.
Run or train. Me too. Biggest risk you've ever taken?
I've never really considered anything to be too much of a risk, but I think opening the business and stepping away from the roles that we were in.
The corporate roles, getting into business ownership.
I think that was
risky.
Significant.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah.
Fun question. What's the strangest thing you've ever happened at an auction that you can talk about?
Yeah.
I'm seeing your brain go.
The strangest thing that's happened, I probably can't say on air. It was a little bit unfortunate, but it was probably the hardest one for me to navigate as an auctioneer. The highest bidder in this auction, and this was right in the peak of the boom. We were in Clayfield. It was a great property, and we had some young families that were bidding on it, and then one elderly couple, and they were like proper old. They're probably in their mid to late 70s by the looks of things.
Yes.
And the lady fainted in the middle of the auction. She was the highest bidder at the time, and she fainted right towards the end of the auction. It was just her, like that couple, the old couple and a young family. She dropped, she fainted. The underbidder that was competing with her, she freaked out and she stopped bidding. And the moment I knocked the property down to the old couple, this lady just leapt straight back to her feet and got up, and the underbidder was livid, and she started accusing her of theatrics and acting and
legal maneuver, I suppose.
Yeah, look, I don't know if it was acting or if she genuinely fainted. Like, it was in the middle of the summer out the front of the property. She was an elderly lady, and that was awkward because I didn't quite know how to navigate. Do I entirely stop here? Do I keep going while she was on the ground? Yeah, that was awkward.
Exciting moments.
Yeah.
All right, so
cracking auction though.
Into the real deep dive. Christian, we're going to start all of our podcasts this season with one question. If you could magically buy back 10 hours of your week, what would you stop doing immediately? And then what would you spend those 10 hours doing?
I would stop spending time in front of my laptop. Yeah. I hate doing the admin, the laptop stuff, emails, all of that.
And what would you replace those 10 hours a week doing? What's important on your schedule at the moment?
More time with the team, as in my agents, my people, and our support team, and more time recruiting.
Definitely. It's funny, I talk to a lot of business owners now who almost their mentality of them being real estate agents is gone. Business owners, I mean. They're recruitment people. That's all they are now, is recruiting great agents, keeping great agents, being, they treat their agents like their client. How do I make my client feel warm and fuzzy, which is their agents now? It's sort of a different mentality of, I used to be a real estate agent.
Yeah. And I would say that you're probably talking to some of the best principals in the country. I would dare say that mentality is still the minority.
Right.
My opinion is that most businesses and most real estate principals are still sales agents. I fundamentally believe that's a flawed model. And I think that more and more principals or people are moving into business ownership with the philosophy that you just described, because that is the way of the future.
Because it's funny, hey? So I first got into real estate as an agent in 2012. So that's a while ago. And it was sort of the business model, even Ray White's business model and other franchise groups, where you'd become an agent, you'd work your way up, you'd get a franchise potentially. And that was your career model. And that seems to have changed now, where it's now you've got really dominant businesses all over the country. It's not segregated to Brisbane, but then they have partners, and we're now sort of running real estate agencies like law firms, where we're building up big businesses and getting in partners and associates. And why is that happening? What, in your idea?
Well, I think as a selling principle, it's really hard for you to legitimately grow the rest of the business and to develop real estate agents and to provide them with the attention and time that they need, but also deserve, because you're so focused on your own individual business, your personal sales business. Particularly if you're a high-performing real estate agent or a high-performing selling principal, you might be doing 70-odd transactions a year. Some are doing much more, doing double that. And so in that instance, there's a lot of buyers and a lot of sellers and a lot of stuff that you need to sort out within your own immediate sales business. You can't do both. You can't be the master of everything. And I
suppose there's also that element you're competing against your own people.
Yeah,
there's a selling principle.
There's an element of that. I mean, obviously you can try and overcome that by having core markets and core geographies where people are operating in different areas, and therefore there's no real direct competition. And the selling principles argument is, well, I can actually palm off leads to other agents, and therefore I can help them grow and develop and give them a few free kicks. And that might be true to a certain extent, but the reality is what they really need is they need coaching, they need support, they need mentorship, they need leadership, and they need someone that backs them and believes in them. And I think that, sometimes that's a little bit harder to do as a selling principal. I was sitting with a selling principal only Tuesday this week, and we were talking through that. He's a little bit, he's a younger chap, and he's just gone on this journey of starting his own business, and he was talking about his struggles in recruitment and supporting agents. And I said, mate, the reality is you could sit there on realestate.com and cold call real estate agents to try and get them into your business. Yeah. Or you could call your database and your marketplace, and you would get a far greater return, far quicker, and you'd actually make more money out of those sales than you would out of another agent. Yeah. And
it's funny, when I first started, I started under a selling principal, and what's that, 14 years ago, 12 years ago, and the pitch back then was, I won't be a selling principal forever. He's still selling today.
Yeah, how many times have you heard that?
I see you selling there too. Still a great guy though.
Yes.
So let's talk about the journey on how you got here. So why real estate? How did you find yourself in real estate?
Well, I fell into it, which I think a lot of people do. When I finished school, I didn't really know what to do. So I went to uni like everybody else did. I chose to do a business degree, majoring in accounting. It was the shortest degree. It was 3 years. I know a lot of wealthy accountants that have moved up into pretty significant corporate roles. And so I thought, you know what, I'll go do that. I'll make a bit of money, and it's a quicker story. I'll get in and I'll get out. I realized pretty quickly that I was spending more time at the uni bar than I was in fact, I didn't go to any lectures. So I promptly decided to drop out in my second semester. And then I went backpacking for 12 months. So I went all around the world, did the US, Europe, Asia, India, Arab Emirates, all of that. And then when I came back, my parents, they sold their home. So they sold the family home in Ashgrove, which is where we'd grown up. I went to school at Morris College, Ashgrove. And when they sold that and moved down the road in Alderley, I met the real estate agent at the time. And he pulled up in this red hot Mercedes. Like it was flash. It looked super sharp. He came out, he was dressed in a nice suit. He met Dad. They had a conversation. And I remember asking Dad at the end of that at the end of it saying, how much did you pay him? And it was, 20, 25 grand or whatever it was at the time, which is a lot of money. This was going back in 2014.
Yeah.
And I thought, wow, that's pretty incredible. Like he literally walked around your house and just had a conversation with you in the backyard by the pool. Yeah. And you just paid him 20, 25 grand. Like that's incredible. Maybe I should do that. And I always liked the idea of wearing a suit, and who doesn't want to drive a nice car?
Yep.
And so I hit that agent up and I said, I want to get a job. He wasn't able to hire me at the time. He said, look, if you wait till August, I'll put you on then. But I needed a job straight away. I'd just come back from backpacking. I was broke. I was in debt to my parents. I needed money fast. And so I ended up putting my resume out to a whole bunch of different offices. I think I interviewed with like 5, 6 different agencies and ended up at Harcourts.
And at this point, you're 20 years old? Maybe
19.
19 years
19,
old.
Yeah.
I find it a struggle to like have 19-year-olds that join real estate and say, well, how do you start as a 19-year-old and get trusted with someone's biggest asset? To take that one step further, you're winning Novice Auctioneer of the Year in 2017. So now in 2017, you're 21.
21 years later, yeah.
And you're the Novice Australian Auctioneer.
Yep.
How? Why?
Why? So when I started at Harcourts, I started as an associate. So I was working for an agent by the name of Scott Rumble, who now works in our business at Ray White Wilston. And Scott and I became really good mates and worked really well together. And in that time, I also met Mitch Piraboom, who's my now business partner. And he was the chief auctioneer of Harcourts at the time. And he'd recently taken over from Ben Brady, who had headed off to the US and set up Harcourts USA.
Yep.
And again, Mitch was another young, dynamic individual.
Auctioneer.
Great auctioneer who, at the time obviously held a pretty senior position. And I remember looking at him going, well, here's a bloke that's only a year older than me. And he's walking into a room and commanding the attention of all of these adults and all of these real estate professionals, and he's teaching them. And I thought that I knew nothing about the industry, so I just thought it was quite curious. And I was like, that's interesting. I should get to know that guy. And so I started spending time with him. We became good mates. And then I told him that I wanted to start calling auctions. I did that purely from a professional development standpoint. My principal at the time, and who was a mentor at the time, he told me to go and do Toastmasters to go and improve my public speaking and confidence and all those sorts. Not that I think I needed help with confidence, but just in terms of your delivery and your communication and all those sorts of things. And I remember looking up Toastmasters online, and it was literally a photo of all these people with white hair. Yeah. And I just went, I'm not going to fit in there.
Yeah.
So my next best option was I hit up Mitch and said, "Oh, can you teach me how to call auctions?"
Because I've been to many of your auctions and Mitch's auctions for that matter, and you guys are just guns, and you feel that young energy. It's a hard to explain how that young energy translates to an auction call, but it's definitely palpable in a room. So obviously you've had that commanding presence your entire life.
Yeah, and I think it comes from enjoying it as well. Like I still to this day, I don't call that many auctions anymore. We've got Perry in our business now, who's our COO, and he also calls all the auctions. But I think I called 2 last weekend, and it was awesome. Like I thoroughly enjoyed it. I
still love it.
Yeah, absolutely. You just get such a thrill out of getting up there and calling that auction. I think that comes across. People can feel that and you can tell. You've probably seen some auctioneers that get up there and they've got no interest in being there. And you can just feel it in their energy. So.
Yeah, they don't want to be there.
Yeah.
So then from there, we've gone into a corporate role running auctions for Australia for Harcourts. A great role, to be honest. Like it's a great role, a coveted role, I suppose.
Yeah, it was super cool. It was, and it was something that came out of COVID. I then got licensed in Victoria and New South Wales. And so while it was Australia and I was doing auction training and auction support right across the group, across the country, I was actually calling auctions in 3 different states. And so that was really cool because obviously I got to experience the New South Wales and Sydney market. I got to experience the Victorian market, not only Victorian residential, but I was also doing a lot of rural stuff and working with the nutrient arm, and I was auctioning a lot of farms in New South Wales and Victoria. And so got a pretty good broad cross section of real estate and property that I was selling there. And so that was a fun role. And I think COVID allowed that to happen because obviously we moved auctions online. Queensland, not as much because we only had that 30-day lockdown. But in New South Wales and Victoria, they went for
there was a lot of calling in front of a camera
where they were really struggling to conduct real estate auctions, and so I was able to facilitate that from Brisbane, which was super cool.
So we're nice and cushy right now. We're in a great job, great corporate role, and then we decide to go and buy arguably one of the bigger Ray Whites in Brisbane.
Yep.
And that's a big bite for how old are we now? We're 20.
I'm 30.
You're 30 now, but we're 28 when we do this. 28
yes.
when we bite off a really big chunk and I suppose chew really hard.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think I loved my time at corporate. I wouldn't take it back, and I think I developed a lot as a professional, as a real estate agent, as an auctioneer, and as a leader in that role. I probably got to the point where I felt like I was no longer able to have the impact that I really wanted to. I think I'd given my all to the role and to the company, and I wanted to probably go a step deeper. I felt like I was spread pretty thin. Working in, Harcourts is a big brand and a big company, and spread across, at least 550 real estate agents and multiple offices. And I was conducting circa 18 sales meetings a week on top of the 150, 200 auctions that I was calling every single month. And so it was pretty full on. I was pretty much on the road all day, every day. And if I wasn't, I was either in a sales meeting or calling auctions. But I was literally touching each agent maybe once a week. And so I wanted to have a greater impact and maybe not go as wide, but go a lot deeper and help more agents truly flourish. And this is not an indictment. I hope I can say this on air. This is an indictment on any of the principles there, but I felt like there was a bit of a blocker in terms of some of the work that I was doing, that Mitch was doing, we were trying to do at a corporate level with the agents in terms of supporting them and helping them grow. And I felt like some of the principles were a bit of a blocker, and they were actually impacting that, and they weren't delivering what it is that the agents wanted, needed, and deserved. And we just felt like we could do it better. We felt like we could create a better environment for real estate agents to truly succeed. And we effectively want to create an environment where if a real estate agent joins our business, it's like putting on a jetpack, and they just explode. They take off and go further, faster.
It's like anything, I suppose, when you're in those roles where you're visiting, 100 franchises or 100 offices, you see, the good and the bad, and you can absolutely learn what to do and what not to do.
Yep.
And you see really good traits of great leaders.
Yep.
And that can only translate to, if I had my own business, what would I do?
Yeah.
And I'll put this into place.
And I think a lot of people, it's very easy to think that. The moment you end up in that position, you probably have a lot more sympathy for the principles that or any leader for that matter, forget real estate, but any leader that you are critiquing. Reason being is once you're in the seat, you realize how many other challenges there are, and you can start to understand why maybe they're not delivering, or they were delivering to the level that you expected.
Yeah.
So
awesome.
Yeah,
and
it's
then
been eye-opening.
The last step of the jigsaw puzzle is going into Ray White's Surface Paradise.
Yep.
So that was like the big boy of real estate, and a huge decision, I suppose.
Yeah, it was. It was a massive decision. It was something that, obviously when we made the announcement, I think it was a real shock to a lot of people. It was something that we'd been working on with the White family and Jason Andrew for 12 months. Yeah, a lot of people said that we shouldn't have done it, including a lot of people at Ray White. I wouldn't take it back. It's been incredible. But it was certainly something that we did very early on in the piece.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exciting though.
It was, Ray White Surface Paradise, it was an opportunity that we couldn't pass up. Growing up as an auctioneer in the industry, Ray White Surface Paradise was that one business that you always looked at.
Yeah.
It really had the attention of the entire industry. The event and the auctions that they conducted every single year, the way in which the Bells had positioned that business in their 40 years of owning it, 28 years in a row, the number one business internationally in Ray White. Like the legacy that business holds is absolutely
huge.
Incredible. And I know they've got no problem with me saying this because it's spoken about quite openly at Ray White Corporate, but it is effectively the crown jewel of the company.
Yeah.
Like it's the number one business in the company
Absolutely.
for a reason. And a lot of people say that you can't buy legacy, but we have.
Yeah, exactly right.
So,
all right. So loop back. So we're going to tie it all back in, right? So this is where we try and tie it all back into VA for you. So you're a great client of ours. You have some VAs, but I wanted to touch on one VA that you have, Haruna, who's in your finance department. So one thing I bang on about with people is that VAs are more than just admin. So at the moment you've got Haruna in your accounting department, like in your reconciliations, finance everything. So tell me about that decision in outsourcing that part of your business.
Well, you sold me on it.
That's not the right answer for the camera.
Well, you did a great job. You gave me the confidence to do it. You pitched me an idea and told me how efficient it would run. And I backed you. I'd known you for a long time, and I thought, you know what, let's give it a shot. And
Haruna loves the role. So we got a few.
Awesome.
Yeah, they got these great. Haruna's from Sri Lanka, got an accounting degree, a master of finance degree, all out of the UK, and is super, super intelligent and loves deep diving into P&Ls and cash flow management and all that sort of stuff, and really valuable for your business.
Yeah, and I would say that you can tell he's a really intelligent bloke. From the first conversation we had with him on the phone, we loved his energy, we loved his enthusiasm, the fact that he was willing to just rip in, obviously extremely intelligent. And so for us, it was really easy. He's like another member of the team, just because he's virtual or remote, doesn't really change that. We still communicate almost the exact same way, which is over phone, over Zoom. Like there's really no difference.
I went 10-pin bowling with him a couple of months ago, and he's not a very good bowler.
Yeah,
so
okay.
there's something he fails at.
Better in zero.
Christian, what an awesome chat today. You're great to watch, great meteoric rise. We wish you nothing but continued success. It's great to watch.
Awesome. Thank you, mate. I appreciate the
Thanks
time
for joining me today.
Thanks for all your support with VA4U.
Ta.